can't speak for any other business, but in real estate, nothing works unless it's a win-win. The seller has to agree and the buyer has to agree. Like that's just what it is at the end of the day. So I don't believe in win-lose situations, regardless of whose side it's on. Now, of course, I'm going to, advocate to the best of my ability for my clients, but I always just like to let them know, listen, the seller wants something too. So like what is it that you are willing to do to make it work? And I just present it, and I just let people know, like, listen, I would advocate for you to the best of my abilities, but I won't sell you a dream. But my main question I ask people, what would make you feel like you won in a transaction?
We'll be back in 3, 2, 1. We gone. Welcome back, family, to another episode of the First Sip Podcast. I'm back here again with a frequent guest, family member. He's not my cousin, even though we share the same last name.
I think
Jared,
we look alike too.
th- listen, man, I'm saying people might start asking some questions, so we gotta watch what's going on here. So, Jared, welcome
We
back.
do.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. I told you this was right on time. I was just checking back in on our last episode, listening, making the rounds, and being like, oh, okay. You reached out. You were like, yo, let's link back up, do another episode. We got some updates to talk about. We were actually just talking
Yeah,
about football
yeah.
seasons back in, so I definitely want to get your opinion on what you think's going to happen. And see who your team is. I don't know if you're an Eagles fan like I am, but we'll see. Who is your team?
I'm an Eagles fan by default. I'll be honest, I'm
Okay.
more of a basketball person.
Okay.
But I do like football season. I tend to have a lot more fun. Life tends to be a little bit easier when it's football season. So that's about as close as it gets. So outside of touchdown, interception, and field goal and offsides, uh, I really can't help you. But I do appreciate the sports and appreciate the
Yeah.
Eagles.
I'm like that with basketball. So just what you said about football, I'm like that with basketball. So it's a good balance.
Oh man.
It's a good balance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's why you and I would get along.
There we go. There we go. So before we dive into it, I was saying, like first sip, we always got to start off by asking what you sipping on, right? So you
Mm,
told me actually that you were heading out after this
yes,
to get your sip on.
yes,
So
yes,
what are you gonna
yes.
be drinking when you go out? You get to the bar, you step in, it's like, all right, first thing I need, this is line this up for me. What you
Hmm.
got?
So my go-to as of late has been well, one, my default is Knob Creek. That is my default whiskey.
I love
Um,
it.
so that's my go-to. But as of now, when I go to bars, like my go-tos have been a Corona and a shot of Jameson. Jameson.
Okay. Okay. That's a nice balance.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. I'm probably about to get four of those in a little bit, but I promise I don't drink and drive, and I will be a civilized, fully functional civilian after the fact. It's just been a day.
there you go. So
Sorry, 1 second.
I was
Yeah, go
asking.
ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was also asking you before if when you said that it's been a day, if that's in a good way or in a bad way, and you were saying like you're busy, so and that's what we kind of wanted to
Yeah,
talk about, right? So
yeah.
that's something I definitely want to get some more questions on. If people want to know before we get into that, though, I'm sipping on root beer tonight, so you're gonna be sipping on a real beer. I'm sipping on root beer, so that's what I got in the
Oh,
cup,
that's my go-to. I love root beer.
bro. It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. So
Is
every
it A&W or the
yeah,
mug?
you know, I put it in here because I wasn't gonna do any brands, but A&W. Listen, if y'all want to send us some
Yes,
cases,
yes,
if
yes,
y'all want to
yes.
send the Smith guys some cases, we're
Yeah.
we're waiting
So,
for
all
it.
right, is it can or bottle?
Can
My man, that's why we get along,
it's
man.
it's different.
So, it is.
It's
It
different.
really, really is
Yep.
different. Same thing with like plastic bottle, Minute Maid, and carton Minute Maid. Two different
Hmm.
things. Two different things.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Now we're
telling
getting
you.
deep.
I'm telling you. Like that. Like yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like bottle Minute Maid and carton Minute Maid are two different drinks. I don't care what anybody says.
You see, people. This is why you come listen to First Sip, so you know where to get the best first sip. This
Yeah,
is
I'm
what we
putting. I'm
bringing
put. I'm putting
value,
them on the game. Yeah,
bringing value in
that's it.
every
It's cheaper and
area.
it tastes better.
There
Yeah,
we
it's
go.
cheaper and it tastes better.
There we go. All
Yeah.
right, Jared. So let's get into it. We're talking about bringing value to the people. Things have
Mm-hmm.
changed since the last time we met, where we were talking about the recent settlement that happened with the
Mm-hmm.
National Association of Realtors. People
Mm-hmm.
meant the NAR for short, right? So basically, that changed up the way that realtors get paid from the clients that they're working with, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it last time, so we won't have to dive into it too much now. But basically what that means is
I mean,
that,
we can
yeah.
if you want.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't
We
know how
can
far you
if you
wanted to go
want.
into it. Okay. So, do you want to go
Listen,
ahead
I'm
and,
on
yeah,
your show, baby.
yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
give them a quick overview of like what happened in August, that changed the way buyers have that conversation should happen with buyers and their agents and sellers and their
That's a great
agents.
question. Yeah, so that's a great question. So as of August 17th, the National Association of Realtors did what's called decoupling the buyer commission from the seller's commission. So essentially, what used to be status quo would be listing agent would get a listing, and then they would share the commission with the buyer agent. So essentially, what was happening was the sellers were paying both the agents. So there was a lawsuit that had went into effect where sellers actually started in Missouri, I believe, where sellers felt that they were forced to have to pay a buyer agent commission in that they felt that they were forced to pay a buy side commission in order for their home to get sold.
Mm-hmm.
So the DOJ got involved, did a super duper thorough investigation to where they felt that there was price fixing involved in terms of what the standard commission that agents are charged for, as well as agents being caught on recording saying that if there was no commission being offered, they wouldn't show the home. So essentially, what transpired was, at least in PA, because I believe in certain states the buy side commission had to be disclosed to the buyer. Honestly, I think it's supposed to be disclosed to the buyer even when you get them
Mm-hmm.
under contract as your client. But for lack of it, to keep it simple right now, as of now, the buy side commission now has to be disclosed on the agreement of sale as well as what the buy side agent is requesting their commission to be. And on the MLS where agents, go to search for properties, we would originally be able to see if there was a commission being offered prior to showing the home. So to ensure that all sellers, whether they're offering a commission or not, would get a fair shot at their houses being shown and the opportunity for them getting sold, that has now been taken off the MLS. So essentially, what's happening now is agents would have to call in to the listing agent to see if a commission is being offered, or in some cases, you just throw the offer out there along with your commission and just see what the listing agent says.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal of all of this, outside of the challenges, because we already know, like with any change in a business, there's always that turmoil of the new becoming the new normal. It's just not having a more transparent conversation with our buyers. I think we touched on it the last time. Some agents just took for granted that there would always be a commission, and when they
Mm-hmm.
would have the client sign with them, it just used to be the, oh, don't worry about it, the seller will take care of it. Well,
Yep.
now we don't know. So it's just further transparency that agents have to have with their clients. But the interesting thing is, even on the listing agreement, there's a clause that states, uh, you know, this is what this listing agent tends to do with the other portion of the commission. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we're charging 6%. We want to charge the buy. Well, we want to offer the buy side 2.5.
Yeah.
So I just think that all these changes that went into effect is just to further encourage and in some cases force further transparency.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to that, now um, agents can't show a home without an agreement being signed, whether it's a temporary non-exclusive showing agreement or you lock them in with what we call a buyer agency agreement, which just solidifies the relationship between realtor and client. So that's another
Yeah.
change that went into effect as well because of
Yeah.
these changes.
That's a perfect
If
point
I'm
for us
wrong,
to.
please somebody correct me. But
Nope.
that's how I took it.
You are pretty spot on. I think we have both been reading pretty intensely over these past couple of months to see exactly what's been going on. You've
Hmm.
probably been going through different trainings like I haven't seen, just making sure you're informed and
Yeah,
knowing exactly what
yeah,
to do
yeah,
because it,
yeah.
it is important, right? And on both sides, knowing how you're going to get paid
Hmm.
at the end of the day and knowing how to explain to your clients how to go about budgeting these things, knowing what to expect
Yeah.
as they go through the process. Because, like you said, it may not have been as clear before for people who may have gone through the
Hmm.
process. And there have been some agents who have been very upfront and saying, like, yes, this is what we're going to go ahead and do. When we go through the buying process, I might be compensated 2%, 3%, whatever it is you come to an agreement to. And they understand that. But then there are other people who just never, I've had plenty of conversations with people who never use a buyer agreement.
Yeah.
And that to me is, I'm like, okay, well, now what do you do? And those are
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what those conversations start turning into in the next couple of months, to see if they have any issues, any pushback from people who are saying, no, I don't feel like I should have to sign this thing or have to commit to doing this before we actually find something that actually
Yeah.
works for me. Have you
Yeah.
had any issues? Because that's where I wanted to see if you've had any issues with that, or if it's been, and it just went into effect at the time of this recording, guys. It's probably been what, 3 weeks
3 weeks. Yeah, I think it's
since it's been
August
like made
17th, so it's
official.
like 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Now, people, of course, like you said, have been doing the practice before that. But have you had any conversations that it was a little tough for people to understand why you would sign this agreement with you to say, hey, I'm going to be your representative. This is how I'm going to get paid, and this is what I'm going to do to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for.
Um, I wouldn't say difficulty, but I mean, of course, there's been pushback because whenever people have to sign something, there's always that hesitance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's always that hesitancy. So I've had people, question how come, why this, what are you bringing to the table to ask for all of this?
Hmm.
And I just explained to them the value that I know that I believe to bring to the table, and we take it from there. And I let them know, like, listen, at the end of the day, you have to sign something for me to show you a house. So and that's for any agent, even if it's people like, hey, I just rather talk with the listing agent, by all means. But just so you know, in order for them to show you the house, you still have to sign something with them anyway just
Hmm.
to get in. So that's how I explain it. I'm like, listen, if you want to see anything, maybe it might take you some time to see what I'm about, to see if I'm the guy for you, to want to commit to me. But if you want to see anything, no matter what agent you talk to, you're going to have to sign something, whether it's a temporary showing agreement or the buyer agency contract. So I've had some pushback, but it's I don't know. Like for me, it's just something where it's just to be expected when
Hmm.
the word contract, something about contract
Yeah.
just makes people get queasy, just so
Hmm.
justifiably so, because contract means commitment. And then if it's like, hey, I'm committing to somebody I haven't known for more than a few phone calls, like I totally get it.
Yeah. Now imagine you had to go into, I always like to bring up my history working in banking. Imagine you had to go into your bank and sign a contract that said, like, okay, this is the banker I'm going to work with for the next 6 months, the next year, or as long as
Hmm.
I have my accounts here. It might start changing up a lot
Hmm.
of things. And that's why it's like, I guess it is a hard pill for some people to swallow when they look at
Yeah.
a service that's always been, oh, let me just call up, the person that my cousin worked
Hmm.
with, or the person that I know, who's a local agent, and he'll show me, all the houses around until we find something. And then we go to the closing table and everybody's happy. Now it's, hey, listen, I need you to commit to me. It can't be me,
Yeah.
Bob, and Sue that's going to be showing you around. And, you just
Yeah.
go with whoever. And
Yeah.
it,
Eh,
go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it could ruffle some feathers in the beginning if you don't know how to explain that, or if people just aren't willing to accept it. And my concern is, if you're
Hmm.
not willing to accept it, then how much time are you going to be wasting bouncing around probably the easiest path for you to get what you want, right? Because then if you're not getting the representation, then you might be trying to get in contact with those listing agents yourself and saying, well, this person's not getting back in contact with me, or just like you said, this person's making me do the same exact thing that this other agent wanted me to do. So how do I get into these houses without signing something?
Hmm.
So it's kind of like you're
Hmm.
delaying the inevitable. So
Yeah.
best thing to do is probably just get a really good understanding about what it is you're about to go through. Make sure you can afford the the type of services that you're asking for, and
Yeah.
then go about the process so you can go through it without any headaches. What were you gonna
Yeah.
say before?
Or yeah, or I was gonna say too, like, hey, there's some people out there that just don't want to use a realtor. So
Hmm.
it's just a matter of you understanding, the landscape of what it is that you're going to get into. So I've had some people that said, hey, I don't want representation.
Hmm.
Listen, I totally get it. It's not for everybody,
Yeah, and
for reasons
everybody doesn't need it either. I mean, if we're
yeah,
being honest,
exactly.
nowadays, like,
Yeah.
I had a friend actually just this past week, and I was at a wedding, and they were telling me about how they went about and just bought their home recently, right over in Fishtown, right? And we were talking about this
Hmm.
maybe a year ago, and the process that they went through to get the home, I was like, yo, that was brilliant. That's exactly what we
Hmm.
would do to find listings, right? So they went through the
Yeah.
process, went through the inspection, got everything, just based off of their research. Now this person is very good at research, right? And they know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I'm also going to give them that credit, right? And not act like they don't have that bit of understanding behind them. But at the same time, it is possible for people to do this, but I don't want everybody to feel like that's them, right? Because you may not be the
Absolutely.
person who has that level, of like that savviness to be able to find the owner's number, to be able to figure out, okay, like how
Hmm.
long has the property been sitting there, doing all that background research that we know how to do. Because if you don't do it, then you're setting yourself up.
Absolutely. And I always tell people it's all fun and games until we get under contract. That's
Yeah. Well, we
I'm
were
being
just joking
honest.
about that before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's all, and this is, I'll be honest, this is where like I found my value add is, listen, I'll do everything I can to find you the right properties that I think are best for you. But at the end of the day, you're going to say what it is you want to see and what it is you don't want to see. But I promise you, when we get under contract, title or earnest deposit inspections, what does this mean, what does that mean, Jared, this came up, Jared, I don't know,
Mhm.
that's where, you know, I feel a lot of people's value add comes in, because I look at it
Mhm.
like this: we do, you and I, we do real estate full time. Like, this is what we eat, sleep, and breathe. So imagine I'm in the middle of buying a house, dealing with stuff at work, dealing with the kids, dealing with the fact I gotta move. Like, imagine you're in a meeting at work, your kid is sick, and then it's like, hey, there's an issue that came up with title.
Mhm.
Like,
It's like, who do you
you know
call?
what I
How do
mean?
you chase? Who's the right person?
It's a lot. It's a
Mhm.
lot of juggling. So for me, it's, hey, I'll facilitate that information for you. I'll get those answers and I'll propose solutions for you.
Mhm.
So that way, while life is happening for you, because life doesn't stop for anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, while life is going on for you, I'm doing everything that I can to make this process as seamless as
Mhm.
possible. So for me, like I said, for me, the work is really when we get under contract.
Mhm.
Of course, the search, putting the offer in and whatnot. But once I see, hey, Jared, the seller accepts your client's offer, then now it's time to work.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Now
literally.
that's how come me personally. I don't post under contracts. I'm like, until it
Mhm.
closes, I'm good, baby. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. The way my anxiety works, I can't do that. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, let's just get to the
Let's
end,
do what we got to
get
do.
them moved in, make sure everything's good to go, and then give it about
Hmm.
another week or two. Make sure nobody
Hmm.
feels weird about anything,
Yeah,
and then we're cool.
yeah.
Because man, the I was just talking to Avi about this last week about one of the clients that we were working with earlier this year, and I don't know if I told you the story. It's like we got literally to the closing day. Other agent
Hmm.
is ready to go. Everything is taken care of. Earnest deposit inspections, and then buyer disappears. Just
Were you on the
vanishes.
list side or buy
It
side?
goes listing side,
It
right?
happens, man.
And
It,
we're
it
sitting there.
it's
The amount of contacts back and forth, like, hey, what's going on with your client? Where is she? He has no idea. We have no idea. Nobody knows what's going on, and it is just one of those feelings where you're just stuck there, and
hmm
just knowing who to call, having people behind you, having a team of people that you can reach out to say like, okay, what do we do next? Where do we go? This is something that's new to me, right? Because I'm a new agent myself, and there are just situations that pop up that you don't know how to handle right in the moment, but knowing who to call,
yeah.
right? It's like you were talking about home. So it's like
Hmm.
being in your house and it's like your toilet starts to overflow and you can't stop that thing for the life of you. But you know that plumber who's ready 24/7, who's really reliable, and you know you can call him. There's value
Yeah.
right in there knowing who to call. And then that plumber coming over and
Yeah.
knowing exactly what to do to solve the problem. The immense value that comes from that, it's what price do you put on that? Is it $1,000, $2,000 for this plumber to come and save your entire floor to make sure you don't have to repair that?
Yeah.
Same thing in a,
Yeah.
in a real estate transaction. What is the real value that agent brings to you when you're sitting there and you now need to find another home because the one you wanted to get, somebody just snatched it up. So now you got to go and find something because you have to move by the end of the month and you're in a drastic situation. Right? There is so many different things that I don't think people really think about, But then when
Yeah.
you look at it from those different angles, it's like, you know what? I might want to pay to kind of get the headache off and make sure, like I said before, that I don't run into these issues and make sure that this thing does go as smooth as possible. But also on the other side, I
Yeah.
understand why there's concern because there's people who don't give that side of value, that type of value, right? So if you are a
Yeah.
buyer, I
There's
would,
some
yeah.
agents.
Hmm.
Yeah, like so I had a client, well I have a client, and they were on their second home, and they were like, yeah, the first time they bought a house, they didn't see their agent till the closing table.
Hmm.
Now how they were able to do that, I don't know.
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's out there. And then one thing I learned about value is, so for me, it used to be, oh man, there's always somebody that could do it cheaper. But what I realized is this, and I learned this in bit for business at my last job, is when you're really in need and you need somebody to get it done, you're not thinking about the price anymore. When you're
Man.
back, yeah, when you're back, like when your back is against the wall. So this is how come, like when I would get quotes for clients for stuff, they're like, Jared, like, you're not going to negotiate it? Because I said, and I asked them, I said, listen, one, I only go with people I trust, but I
Hmm.
just say, hey, listen, if this had to be done tomorrow or the 2 days, like, and this is the only person that could get it done for you in the time you need to get it done, would this price bother you? If the answer is yes, let's negotiate. But
Hmm.
if it's like, hey, Jared, like, if this was 2 days, I don't care, all right, like let's lock it in.
Yeah.
And now that might be a little naive, but the way I look at it is time is money. The sooner we get it done, the
Exactly.
sooner we can move on,
Hmm.
for, like, regardless of the project. And I've seen it in my time as a property manager, especially doing property management for new builds. A lot of money was lost because the time for getting the best price, eventually, while you're looking for the best price, problems, problems, and problems and problems compound. It's not like
Hmm.
one problem plus one problem equals two problems. One problem plus one problem might be five problems.
Hmm.
And then now it's like I have a big mess on my plate, and now I have to pay more, not only to
Yeah.
clean it up but to get it fixed. Now, I'm not saying don't go out and get the best price possible,
Hmm.
but find out what your bottom, I tell people this, what's your bottom line, see what you get for your bottom line.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If your bottom line is $1,000, lead with that. Hey, my bottom line is $1,000. What service can I get for $1,000? If you don't like the service you could get for $1,000, all right, what can I get for 1250? So I
Yeah.
always say your best bet is to go off of your bottom line, see what you could get.
I like that. And that was going to be a question I was going to ask before. If there's any new things you're doing to kind of build these relationships with clients before you guys get to that conversation. So it becomes a little bit easier as far as them, like figuring out, okay, yeah, I don't have a problem like paying this guy, as far as, really just building that trust factor. We do things
Mm-hmm.
like recording content, going out to different events and meetups, but are there ways that you're really building that trust so people know they can rely on you before that conversation comes? Because I'm a big believer, and I think we talked about this last time, that if you can build that trust with somebody before, if they can get to know you before that time comes, then it becomes a lot easier because they're like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't, I hope he doesn't steer me wrong, but based on my past experiences with him, I don't believe he'll steer me wrong. So, what are you
Yeah.
doing to work on that?
I'll be honest, as dorky as it sounds, I find a way to connect with people like that. Like that's just me.
Hmm.
I find a way to really connect with the human and just say, like, for me, my what I love about what it is that I do is I just want to be the guy that sees you at the closing table. Like that's what I'm fighting for. Now, of course, because the service is being provided, I'll be compensated, but my joy is we go through the Jared, I can't find the house, to
Hmm.
Jared, I found the house, to Jared, we're under contract, Jared,
Hmm.
I'm freaking out, Jared, I don't know, Jared, I'm throwing up. And we do all of that, and we get to the closing table. Like, I love being the guy to watch you from beginning to end. So for me, it's just finding a way to connect with people,
So, how are you
when I meet
finding
people
them?
for the first
Yeah,
time on tour.
you
No,
just
go for it.
brought it there, like from the beginning to the end. So, for the people who are listening who are at the beginning, how are you connecting with them at that point? Like, is it through just cold outreach? Is it through people referring them to you? Through their circle and sphere. How are you reaching these
uh
people in the beginning?
Team generated leads. I'll be honest. Team generated leads, and most
Hmm.
of my business, I'll be honest, I'm blessed to say, have been sphere of influence and referrals.
Okay.
So and the thing is with people that know me, it's like, hey, Jared, I know you as the funny coworker, but
Hmm.
why should you be the guy to take me to the finish line with
Exactly. Yeah.
the purchase?
Hmm.
So I just find a way to connect with people, like, hey, what matters to you, um with your search. And honestly, my thing is, I don't the only way I've learned that this business works, I can't speak for any other business, but in real estate, nothing works unless it's a win-win.
Hmm.
The seller has to agree and the buyer has to agree. Like, that's just what it is at the end of the day. So I don't believe in win-lose situations regardless of whose side it's on. Now, of course, I'm going to advocate to the best of my ability for my clients, but I always just like to let them know, listen, the seller wants something too. So like, what is it that you are willing to do to make it work? And I just present it. And I just let people know, like, listen, I would advocate for you to the best of my abilities, but
Hmm.
I won't sell you a dream. But my main question I ask people is, what would make you feel like you won in a transaction?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? A win is what everybody's searching for. A win is different for everybody. For somebody, it's, hey, Jared, I want this house. I don't care what it takes. The win is that I got the deal.
Yeah.
For some people, it's, I want to walk away with some credits, or hey, I want to get something under
Hmm.
asking. I want some repairs done. A win is different for everybody. So
Yeah.
that's, as I get, more acclimated, it's like, hey, what does a win look like for
Yeah.
you?
What's that true
And let's
motivation?
search out some opportunity. Yeah, like
Hmm.
let's search out some opportunities where we can win.
Hmm. I love that, and that was going to be another thing that we wanted to talk about as well. As we close off the second half of the episode here, it's uh, w- you know we're talking about all these things about having that conversation with your agent, how you're going to go about the just working with them, making sure you can afford to pay them. That's a big part that I was also talking about with some other agents over these past couple of months, is the affordability side, and making
Hmm.
sure people understand that, and what conversations we can be having proactively, so people understand, okay, this is what a real estate transaction looks like. This is how much money you need to be coming to the table with, before you start looking at homes, because I don't think there's actually enough information out there that's readily available that shows people, like, yo, this is how, like, we were talking about transparency from
Yeah,
the agreement side, right? I don't think it's as transparent as it can be to say, hey, this is how much it's going to cost to do this, and this is the lump sum of money that you should have available, right? It's just like if you wanted to buy a car, you
yeah,
can't go to Mazda.com right now
yeah,
and say, hey, I want that 2024 CX5. How much is it if I want to buy now? It's so
yeah,
jumbled up. There's other fees, different credits, like you were just talking about, things you can get off here and there. So how do you go about having that conversation of affordability with people? And is there anything,
yeah,
as far as like tips for the first time buyer? We work with first time buyers and investors. And is there anything you could really say to them that says, hey, listen, this is maybe a question that you want to ask right off the bat, because
yeah,
it will definitely help you.
yeah. That's a great question. So, the first thing is, I like to identify what you want. Hey, what is it that you want? This is even before we get into the pre-approval.
Hmm.
What is it that you want? Hey, Jared, I want a semi-detached home in Drexel Hill. I found one on Zillow. Great, $275,000. So the roundabout number that I like to give clients is, you at least want to have 10%. This is if you're going to FHA,
Mm.
or like a low down payment program that's at least 3 to 3.5%. Um, you want to have 10% of that purchase saved away. So if it's $275,000, you want to have 28 grand saved away. Is that something you have? Is that something you think you can obtain? Yes, no. Let's just go with no, because I don't know about you. I don't know a lot of people that have 28 grand.
Hmm.
Honestly, that they want to spend. I'm just gonna be honest. Not saying they don't have it, they don't want it. All right,
There we
cool.
go. Yep.
Like, yeah, so what resources are available for us to be able to cover that gap? There's grants, there's programs, there's certain loan incentives and lender incentives. All right, great. Now, what we want to do is make sure that we qualify for those incentives. So, when's the last time you looked at your? I know it's personal. When's the last time you looked at your credit report? What's your current credit score? All right, Jared, it's a bop, 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 bop. All right, cool. In order to qualify for program X, you need credit score this. So, are you willing to work on your credit? If not, if you don't know how to start, I have some resources. So, my favorite thing that I love about what it is I do, my favorite thing is I love helping people get ready so that they are ready. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love the pre-planning phase. Hey Jared,
Yeah.
my like if you call me and say, "Hey Jared, my credit's tore up." I love it. Like
Yeah.
let's get it right. Because once they see that that they're building their credit up, that gives them the confidence and the like, yo, like I can do this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I want to say half my clients I help navigate through the credit repair process, and just seeing the joy and the eagerness to tackle the market in an efficient manner was
Yeah.
just, immaculate. So I just go over, this is the cost, this is what's going to take. There are resources, but we have to see there's resources. So that's why for me personally, when I post that I close, I never advertise come to the table with no money down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it because it's such a unique situation. I've had it happen twice, but it was such a unique
Yeah.
situation that was tailor made for that client,
Mm-hmm.
that it happened to work out that way. So that's how come I never want to give anybody the expectation like, yeah, you come to the table at $0 down. It may happen, it may not happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask me, hey Jared, what does it take for it to happen? I'm just gonna be real. The credit score has to be right, the lender programs have to be right, the grants have to be right, the seller says has to be right, and the opportunity for the property has to be right. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot of things that go
That
into it.
have to go
But
right.
me, I'm just, yeah, so I just go over everything with everybody. This is what it's going to take regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Now my thing is, hey Jared, I have $4,000. All right, what can we do to bridge that gap with the other 24?
Yeah.
So
And like you're saying, that can come in a couple of different ways. And the best thing
mm-hmm.
to do to piggyback just on what you're saying is have that conversation early as possible, right? If you don't plan on
Early as
buying,
possible.
if you don't think you can buy 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. It just helps to be exposed to the information. So you start knowing this is where I need to be. Like, this is where the standard is. This is where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Let me just work my
Mm-hmm.
way up there, because it's as much as we see, social media, people might say like, oh, you got to get this now before the market does this or whatever it is, or you may not be able to buy in the future. We'll be okay, people. We'll be
We'll
okay,
be okay.
right? Like
Yeah.
take
It
take
it's
your
not, I
time.
always
Yeah.
say it's not a win unless
Hmm.
you win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how come for me.
Hmm.
Like for example, my favorite objection is I want to wait till the interest rates drop.
Hmm.
I understand.
Yep.
I understand. Like I'll say this, what I love about real estate, it's not my job to sell you on
Hmm.
anything.
Exactly.
Like I love it. I go to sleep at night. I don't have to convince anybody to do something that they don't
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm not buying right now. Great. When do you want to buy?
Hmm.
Not for 4 years. Okay. Is there anything significant about 4 years from now that makes you want to buy? I just want to know, because at the end of the day, I just want to provide value.
Hmm.
So I do like to present some scenarios, but it's like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a call when the interest rates drop and see what you want to do. But I always
Hmm.
like to tell people, you always want to make sure you're in a position to be able to take advantage of these situations,
Yeah.
because I feel bad for the people when interest rates were 2.5, 3%, and people couldn't buy at that time because their credit was bad. You know, so for me, that's why I say, listen, let's do what we gotta do to get you ready,
Hmm.
so that way, no matter what the situation is, you're ready to go.
Yep. Yep. And that's a big thing. A big part of the conversation I've been having over the past couple of months is making sure that we are financially ready for when these opportunities
Yeah.
do arise, whether that be buying a home or being able to invest in the next big company that comes around, or say your friend starts a business and you want to be able to support that, but you just don't have the
Mm-hmm.
funds, right? I think that's such an important thing that we don't think about until the time comes, and it's like, oh, no, let me race now to get everything together and, to try to scramble
Yeah,
and
it's
do
too
that.
late.
And now you're stressing yourself out. You're racing against the clock. You're worried if you're going to miss that opportunity, all because you weren't doing that work proactively. And that's
Yeah,
that's one thing I love about these conversations that we have, is that we do get to bring these conversations to people who listen, who are just going about their lives, everyday people, right? Like, this isn't
yeah,
a super high level conversation for people who, make multi-million dollars, or people who are super niche down into a certain investment or whatever it is. Like, everyday person who wants to be able to buy a home, that's affordable, not break the bank, and say, how do I save enough money to do it? What type of credit score do I
yeah,
need? What programs are out there?
yeah,
Who can I work with? Who can I trust?
yeah,
Right. That's the stuff that we're bringing them, and that's why I love these conversations. You were,
yeah. And
mhm,
I like to tell people,
mhm.
it's like you're a lot closer than you think.
Yep,
Like
yep,
that's what I really, really love about when I have, the transparency of the finances. I'm like, oh, my credit is bad.
hmm,
You might, it might be, hey, pay this credit card off, that credit card off, you're at a 650. Like you're a lot closer than you think. It's just sometimes it's
well, you don't know
that
what you don't know.
vulnerability. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
know what you don't know. And it's vulnerable talking
hmm,
about I don't have the money and bad credit. It's vulnerable.
yep,
But for me, I mean, I care, but I don't. I ask
hmm.
because I think that's where it comes to
You
my
have to,
my
because you care. That's the whole
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
It's
I think yeah. I think it stems from my property management and leasing background where
I
I
was just
looked at
about to
people's
say
credit scores
exactly.
all
Yep.
day. So it's like, why didn't I get it? I'm like, well, you have a pop, 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 pop.
Hmm,
I'm sorry, so that's why it's not uncomfortable for me. And, especially if you want to wait, I'm like, why don't you get yourself ready?
hmm,
And that's just what it is,
yeah,
and that's why me personally, I just love being a realtor and nothing but a realtor.
hmm,
So I'm not the realtor, oh, I'll do your pre-approval land credit repair. No,
yeah,
like I love sharing you to the experts that actually do it, so that way, like there's another person, another
hmm.
voice, and another opinion to get you to where it is you want to be at.
Yeah, and like you said, you're being that advisor for them, so it really gives them that ability to. I keep going back to the trust and lending to that, because you're
Yeah,
you're you're stacking up on not only the information that when it comes to negotiate the contracts, and now we're going through that time period, but also, what are we doing for the pre work? Right, where's your credit at? Where's your savings at?
yeah.
These are things that we need to have the full conversation around. So when that
Mm-hmm.
time does come for us to go through the game, we're ready to
We're
start. We're
ready.
ready to start running that
Yeah,
race.
we're
But
we're ready.
yeah, it really does show a different level of value when you can have that whole conversation. And that's one thing. And I think that's why we bounce so many of these conversations off of each other, because you get that other side of it. It's not just all right, yeah, let's go see the nice homes, and what do you think about it? Right? It's like, yo, let's
Yeah,
this might we got to have a
cause
conversation early.
I'll tell you this: there's nothing more disheartening than a week, 2, 3, 4 days before closing, and something comes up.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
it, I really can't explain it.
I
Like
feel like we
I'm
both
not at
just
a
had
point
flashbacks.
where
Like, yep.
I yeah. I'll be honest. I don't think I'll ever get to a point where like it's an issue. Like
Hmm.
it's disheartening. Like your stomach is in your lower region of your body.
Yep.
Like it for lack of a better term, it sucks.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I've seen that happen enough times to where I'll know this may come up at the end, so I know it's going to be uncomfortable and annoying dealing with it now, but I promise you, if we find something, we get under contract and the underwriter says this can't happen until XYZ is done, and then we got to go to the seller, ask for more time.
Hmm.
In the back of your mind, I know it's like, dang, I should have did this earlier. So that's why I'm like, let's tighten up everything that we have to now, or as much of it as we can now, and rock out.
Yeah. I like that. Love it, man. I think we gave the people some good tips there. Broke down some good information
Mm-hmm.
for them, some good things to think about, because,
Yeah.
like I was saying a few minutes ago, a lot of the people who are listening to this are in the early stages, right? They may not have 10 properties, 20 investment properties like we hear on some of these other podcasts. They may not be deep into their financial journey and all these things. So having this kind of intro conversation saying, hey, these are some things that you need to keep your eyes open for. These are the things you need to talk about with
Mm-hmm.
somebody you're getting ready to work with. And I'm going to plug it here
Mm-hmm.
now. If you guys ever have questions, right, our information will be in the description below the episode here on YouTube and on the podcast.
Appreciate that,
So,
brother.
yep. So reach out to us. You guys can text, call, whatever is easiest for you. So you can just have the direct information, right? We don't want to set up any long process to be able to have these conversations. Like, let's make it simple, right?
Yeah.
We're normal
Yeah.
people who want to be able to help, connect you with the information and the people that you need to know to go through this process. So, Jared, any other
Yeah.
tips that you want to leave the people with, real quick? Like anything that they need to
Yes.
keep in mind
Yes.
closing out this year?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Number one, if you think about getting a house, get pre-approved. It's free. Anybody that tells you it costs money to get a pre-approval, walk away. So number one, you want to get pre-approved. So better, I'll say this. Step number one, identify what it is that you need. I always like to tell people, let's do your needs category and let's do your wants category. Let's identify that. So once you have that figured out, then I'll say talk to learn because you definitely want to go into the process with a plan.
Yep.
So step number two, get pre-approved. You definitely want to know what it is that you're working with or what it is you need to do to get pre-approved because that's the
There we
thing
go.
as well. That's the thing as well. That's why the credit and all these other things come into effect because there are some things that you might have to do to get pre-approved. So the minute
Mm-hmm.
you find out, I want to buy a home, this is the kind of home, this is what I want, this is what I need, talk to a lender, get pre-approved. After you get pre-approved, talk to an agent. You definitely want to talk to an agent. Find somebody that you feel. If it's not Dekimbe or I definitely feel sorry for you. But hey, it is what it is. Definitely find an agent that you feel would represent you to the best of your ability. Now, you can, Jared. What could I strike a deal if I talk directly with the listing agent? You can, or you might not. The thing is, you have to understand is when you talk to a listing agent, try to broker a deal with them, they are still obligated to represent the seller. So that's the thing. When it comes to having a buyer's aid or an agent in general, you are paying somebody to advocate for you. So with that being said, if you that is what the beauty of a buyer agent is. It is somebody to advocate and help you navigate the process
Yep.
because it's a lot of steps, a lot of things going on. So after you get pre-approved, hire an agent, um, hit the home search. And I'll say this: be comfortable with your list changing. Like it's almost like college, that you change your major. Oh man, I'm a failure. No, like things change, people change. So does what it is you're looking for.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to change what it is that you're dealing with because I'll be honest, more times than not, especially with certain price points, um, everything you're looking for might not be your first home. And speaking of first home, unless you got it like that, and if you do got it like that, please give me a call. Your first home will not be your dream home, and that is okay.
Ooh, man, that's a whole
That
conversation.
is yeah, that is okay. That is okay. Statistically speaking, I think your schedule you're on average you're likely to buy a house like 3 4 times throughout your lifetime, and I
Yeah.
think on average people move every 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 houses every 7 years, that's what, like 28 years. So over the course of 30 years you're probably going to do this again. So with that being said,
You're not even getting
relax,
through one
take it
30-year
easy.
mortgage.
Right. So take it easy. Take it
Yep.
easy on yourself. You're not a failure if you can't
Mm-hmm.
get the detached home with the big backyard and all the finishes that you want. It is okay. My main thing that I love to advocate for clients is let's find something that works for you
Mm-hmm.
and something that you can leverage. And that's another thing. Identify opportunities that you can leverage. And
Oh
if you
yeah.
don't know how to identify it, that's where having a good lender and a good realtor comes into play. So I'll go over the top. Identify your wants and needs, get pre approved, find an agent, relax, understand it's not your first home. And five, find opportunities that you can leverage and go from there. And then guess what? Your second home, pretty sure you're probably gonna have a better job where your business is gonna be doing a lot better. You have a bunch of equity in the house. Hey, like your second home might be the dream home. Your third home might be the dream home. But just don't put all of your eggs in the basket of your first home having to
Mm-hmm.
check off all these boxes. We want it to be right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just buy anything, but if you're finding yourself not finding or getting what it is that you want with what it is you qualify for, it's okay.
Yep.
Like,
That's
I promise you, it's okay.
that's why we're here, man. We are solving the problem of this whole miseducation issue here
Yeah.
with the average American, right?
Oh, can I add one more tip?
Yep, yep.
Vet what you see on social media, like
Yeah.
every, like, because that's the thing. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
touch back on the whole no money down. It is specific to the person and the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on the search, I know, oh, such and such had this happen. Such, consult with your lender and realtor to see if it's something that could work out. Or, hey, this is this, because I just did with the client I went into contract with yesterday. Hey, Jared, I want to come to the table, no money down. Here are the grants and the programs that I
Mm.
qualify for. Okay, we have to find a property that works for us. So we had to find a property that fit her DTI,
Exactly.
debt to
Yeah.
income
Yep.
ratio. You know what I'm saying? We had to, in the process, we had to work on her credit for her to be able to qualify for
Mm-hmm.
this. And hey, if this is the process, if this is the way you want it to go, here are the properties you have to look at. She agreed, and guess what? We're scheduled to close in a few weeks. No money down, but it was specific to the situation and what she was willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is, go into this expecting to pay some money, but be transparent about what you have and what you don't have.
Yep. Transparency is a two-way street, people.
Yep.
Goes both ways. You and I.
Yep.
It's like a dance.
Yep.
It's like a
Yep.
dance. So,
Yep.
we got to seal it out here with the content record of the week. I don't know if you remember,
Oh, it's
but
that
yep,
time already?
yep, bro. It's been, yeah, we've been recording. Yeah, it's crazy how
Jeez,
time
man.
flies, right?
Time flies when you're having fun, man. I was like, man, I'm just
that's
getting warmed up.
that's what I'm saying, man. We're gonna keep doing this more
We
often,
have
right?
to.
Like at least once a
Yeah.
quarter. It's just coming back with the updates,
I
the tips.
agree. I agree.
I love breaking it down in this way. It's a very easy flowing conversation. I think people can pick up some valuable information that they may not have known before listening to it. But also, once again, it's easy to go through.
Mm-hmm.
We bring in some relatable stories, some things that people can really connect with. So this is something we will continue to do going
Mm-hmm.
forward, guys. As you see updates in the news, me and Jared will come on. Maybe we'll just start doing some like Instagram lives and things like that, so we can really just bring it to you immediately and just keep furthering the conversation, so you have that direct connection with people
Yeah.
who can help you out. Right? We're trying to
Yeah.
build our businesses. You're trying to build your life. Let's work together. Let's work together and
Let's
get
work
this done.
together. That's
Let's
all
get
it
this
is,
done
baby.
here.
It's not a win unless you win. That's my motto. If you don't win, we don't win. You know what
There
I
we
mean?
go.
So, like, let's make it happen. Call me,
There we
please.
go. I love it. I love it. And like I said, check the description for the contact information. Reach out to Jared. Let him know what you thought about the information. Let him know what you thought about the interview. And yeah, we'll just keep these things going. But Jared,
Yeah.
what's your content rec of the week?
Oh man. I'll be honest. It's a video game.
I love it.
Um.
I love it.
Yeah. 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 It's actually two.
Okay.
Um. Stellar Blade on the PS5 and Black Myth Wukong. I'm not gonna hold you.
Gotcha.
I've
You played that one. How is it?
yeah.
Okay. I haven't
It's
heard of the first one,
I'm
but
not
the second, how is that one?
I'm not gonna hold you, man. Like, you remember those days back in the, because I'll be honest, I'm an old school gamer. Like, in fact, like right now, before we hop on
Mm-hmm.
here, I bought an original Xbox. I'm playing Dead or Alive 3 right now. Like,
Gotcha. Wow. Okay.
I'm a huge fan of the old school games, but
Mm-hmm.
Black Myth Wukong honestly gives me that. Remember that kid? Everybody had that kid that always got the hottest video games,
One hundred
and then you
percent.
would beg your mom to spend the, or better, we always had that cousin
That cousin.
that
I was just
always
about to
got the
say.
hottest video. It
Yes.
was always that
And you
cousin.
can't wait
It
to
was
go to that
always that
cousin's
cousin.
house. You can't wait
Yeah,
to go to
my cousin Blair. I swear on everything. Every time the hottest game came out, I was like, I gotta spend the night at Blair's
Yep.
house. So Black Myth Wukong is it's that game where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't put it down. And for me, as an old school video game lover, there's a few games out there that can hold my
I know
attention.
exactly what you mean.
uh yeah, it's few video
Yep.
games that could hold my attention that long
That
outside of
was
fighting games. So
man. You just reminded me of when my cousin got Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and
oh man,
we just
man,
went through that story mode just for hours to the point like when your parents come out, it's like, why you still up? Turn that game off. Like it,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah. No, the
Bro.
game that got me when I
Mm-hmm.
was younger was my cousin. He got so I'll be honest, the thing about my cousin Blair, please, I hope he's not listening because I can't give him his props. I can't. I love him, but I can't give him his props.
Yeah.
He was the person that ventured out with his video game taste. So
Okay.
he did Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff, and everybody's doing Halo. He was the hey, I'm playing this game called Tenchu Wrath of Heaven.
Gotcha. Okay.
and Metal Gear Solid. I swear on everything.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1, I was hooked, but when he got Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation 2, I kid you not, Dekimbe, for 2 days in a row, we did not sleep. And mind you, he was older. He's older than me, so he would play and I would watch, and I was just like this
Bro,
for 2 days.
I wish my brother was
for
here.
2 days.
That was us. 100%. 100%. That was us. We used to man, what was another one we used to love? Jack and Daxter, Kingdom Hearts. Are you a Kingdom Hearts?
Oh my god, bro! Kingdom Hearts. Oh my god, I remember. Oh man, you don't get me started. He had that too. Jack and Daxter was the game, and then oh my god,
Game over. Oh my gosh, that
yeah, game over.
took days. Took days of days of our lives.
No facts, and Jack and Daxter was a good one. But what was the game that I got that I was because my uncle Brian, he had some obscure taste in video games
Yeah.
too. He put me on this game called Shenmue, which is like a cult classic.
Okay.
Oh my god, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But a game that had me hooked, that was of my own choosing. So many. Oh my god, Jet Set Radio Future on the original
Did
Xbox.
we talk about? I think we talked about that one.
We did it. I gotta show you something. I want to show you
because that gets me.
I want to show you how serious I am.
Wow.
I went out. I literally, I was dreaming about this game for a year straight.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? There's this old school video game place called King Video Game or something like that.
Okay.
Out in Jenkintown. I called them up. I said, do you have an original Xbox? And do you have Jet Set Radio Future? They said, yes, sir, we do. I was already at the door. I never drove somewhere so fast, and it's been a wrap. So yeah, that game, like same thing, day straight, and my dad had to be like, yo, Jared, you got to go to sleep. So, but recommendation currently Black Myth, Wukong, and Stellar Blade, but honestly, yeah, you can't be the old school stuff.
I love that, man. That's why I always love to end with the content rec. You know, some lighthearted stuff. Take us out. You know, with some easy stuff that people can go check out for themselves.
Yeah,
I'm about to go check out my content rec of the week. I'm big on Netflix shows. I love Netflix, their content. So,
oh man, I haven't been on Netflix in a minute. What you got?
I'm watching, and I love cooking shows. So they have this one, Dinner Time Live with David Chang.
Oh, you and my girlfriend both, man. What's it called?
Does she love that? Dinner Time Live with David Chang. It comes out.
I think she does.
They drop an episode every Tuesday.
The thing about Sydney, I love her so much. She's the only person that I know could be full and still watch food shows. Like me, like when I'm full, I don't want to think about food. So we'll literally have a big, nice dinner. She'll be stuffed and she'll put on a cooking show, and I'm getting nauseous. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to look at food. Oh yeah, man, no,
I watch it like art. I watch it like art. I'm like, wow, that is incredible. I'm like, how do they think of this stuff? I love it. It brings out a different creative.
Yeah, she's really big into baking competitions.
Okay. I'm not there yet. I'm not baking. Really baking is a real science. So I respect people who can.
It is.
Who has the time and patience to do that.
It's
a different level of patience. But Dinner Time Live. If y'all haven't checked that one out, I think you guys would love it. Comes out once a week on Tuesdays. He has like a lot. It's something I want to do maybe in my next episode of life, where I have a nice four-seater restaurant like right at a bar, and I get to cook for my friends and family. They come over, we have podcast style conversations, and we just talk and just have good food. So that's basically what he does.
I love that.
He has two guests.
You just let me know when you get.
Bro,
let me know when you get that set up, man.
Oh yeah. You can come over for the experimental runs. So when I got to test out all the recipes.
I appreciate it, man.
Okay. Are you good at making drinks?
Make sure.
Are you good at mixing
No,
drinks?
no, I'm a straight bourbon guy, baby.
Okay,
It's
okay.
straight on the
Well, that works
rocks.
then, because I was gonna say, so when it's me, you, Albert, when we all hang out, because he's the same way. He is the same way.
Yeah.
So we gonna kick it. You guys can test out the experimental food that I got, and you guys can let me know. You guys can let me know how it is.
Yeah, listen, as long as whiskey and bourbon's there, I'm in the house,
I
baby.
love it. That's gonna be the next season of First Sip. Man,
I love it.
here we go. We got to get a sponsor. We got to get a
Hey,
sponsor to
listen,
map all
man.
this out.
With enough of these episodes, it might happen.
That's what I'm saying. So we got to keep this going. So people, share
Yeah, for
this.
sure.
Let us know how else we can help. Anything, any questions you got. There's also a button now at the bottom of the podcast description that says send us a text. So go ahead and click that one.
Oh,
Let
that'd
me
be
see how
awesome.
that's working,
Yeah.
because it can give like direct feedback as people are listening to the podcast episode. Or if you're on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and just drop a comment down below, because we're also on YouTube now. So things
Awesome.
are we're starting to make some
Yeah,
improvements here,
man.
man.
You're
Little by
getting
little,
official.
little by little. I'm trying,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
here we
man.
go. Well, we're not trying, we doing.
Progress, baby.
So
Progress.
we do or do
Yeah.
not.
See, I love it.
So
I
there we
love it.
go. So guys, thank you
I
again for
love it.
rocking with us. Jared, thank you again for joining me for another episode. We're signing
Thanks for
out,
having
people.
me, man.
Oh, no problem. So people,
All right.
stay tuned,
Until next time.
stay curious, and as always, enjoy your first sip.